how should, and I saw Bassem Youssef being asked this on Trigonometry last week, I think it was, and he struggled to answer. How should Israel have responded to a terrorist attack, which, just to remind viewers, over 1,200 people were murdered, nearly 7,000 more were wounded, over 250 people, including babies and Holocaust survivors, were kidnapped and taken hostage, and many of those have died. How should Israel have responded to the biggest attack on its people and its land since its existence?
So, you know what? Good on Piers for asking this question. This is a very challenging question. Like, most people don't have a good answer for this. So good on him for asking. Let's see what he said.
So there's no easy answer to that question, Piers, and you might not like the answer I give you, which is that Israel should have responded by abiding by international law, by sticking with the rules of armed conflict, by targeting only the people they believe carried out the crime. They should have used an international coalition of countries that was fully behind them. The majority of the world was behind Israel after the tragedy of October the 7th. And by the way, I have a longer memory than maybe some people in this country. After 9/11, I got asked the same question. Well, what should we do if we don't bomb Afghanistan? What should we do if we don't go after bin Laden, etc.? How did that work out? 23 years later, your pal Donald Trump here is taking pictures with the former leader of Al-Qaeda, who's still on a globally designated terrorist wanted list, right? That's where we claim the war on terror was a complete failure. And some of us who saw that, and by the way, Joe Biden even said this in one of his more coherent moments. He said Israel should learn from our lessons. Israel did not learn from the US lessons. And actually, even if you forget about all the innocent Palestinians they killed, even if you don't give a shit about the people of Gaza, even if you only care about the people of Israel, Israel's not any safer today. Israel is not winning this war. John said on Times Radio a year ago, I went back and checked, March of last year, John said, we're very close to winning. Israel's close to victory. Over a year later, they're not close to victory. They're just starving children and denying baby formula. And the former Israeli general who ran the Gaza division said a few months ago, Hamas is winning this war. So they've not made themselves any more secure. I don't have some perfect solution for what they should have done October 7th, but I do think they shouldn't have killed 50 to 100,000 people, and they should have made themselves less secure. And by the way, the Prime Minister should have resigned because he's the one who let it happen on his watch.
Well, I said.
Okay, so that's a good answer, and let me elaborate on that, because there's some more things that we can that we can just to like get into the specifics of what Israel could have done. So first of all, proper evacuations. Gaza is densely populated. Hamas is in a tunnel city underneath. So the strategy of flattening Gaza while Hamas has where to hide and civilians have nowhere to go is exceptionally cruel and exceptionally ineffective, because they're underground while civilians are not. And then people say, oh, but we couldn't get them out. No one let them out. No. That's not an excuse. You could get them out. You could work with the international community to do evacuations. You could also build a massive refugee camp in the Negev. That's the desert in Israel proper, and let women, children, and elderly out, and men who pass background checks. And for the first time, Israelis often say they're taught to hate us. They're taught these awful things in schools. Well, here's an opportunity. If you let them into your territory and show them a better life, you could, for the first time, show them that you're not evil and that you actually care about them. But instead, we left them there and flattened Gaza on top of the civilian population while Hamas is hiding. That's why we have the high civilian to combatant ratio in the 21st century. So that's one. Second is just levels of proportionality. We had whistleblowers say that they were getting permissions to do airstrikes that would kill 25 civilians just to get one combatant. That's unheard of. That's proportionality unheard of. And then they were saying they got permission to kill triple-digit civilians for one high-level commander. These are unheard of levels of proportionality. We also send our ground troops in under, on the back of Netanyahu's speech, describing Gazans as Amalek, which are the people that the Jews genocided in the Bible. So you send an angry, undisciplined military in with the message of genocide, essentially, and then you have very little internal regulation against war crimes. So we've seen an excess of war crimes from individual soldiers and very little accountability. And one of the ways we know there's an excess of war crimes is because soldiers are actually filming them with their cell phones, which also displays a lack of discipline, and also it displays that they know they won't get in trouble if they're literally uploading them burning houses or stealing aid or stealing things from home or destroying medical infrastructure or other vital infrastructure. All this has been filmed by IDF and uploaded to their social media. Think about how much courage you need to upload this to social media. You need to know that there won't be repercussions.